Welcome back to another episode of the Chaosium House RuneQuest campaign, The White Bull. I'm Jeff Richard, and I'll be your game master tonight. As always, I want to thank my players, Claudia Loroff, Linda Borgen, Richard August, Philip Glass, and Neil Robinson. Why don't you all introduce yourself and your characters?
Hi, I'm Neil, and I'm playing Nisk. Nisk is newly appointed Thane of Argrath, which I think comes with all these responsibilities, like spending time at the feasts, but I'm sure other things that we're going to come up with that will cause him trouble later during the game.
I'm Linda, and I'm playing ENKALA, the Stormbull Shaman, and big troublemaker.
I'm Richard. I'm playing GARAN GRIMSEEMING, a humanity bodyguard who has just got a brand new sword and is very happy about it.
Philip, I play Colbrest One Arm, a wolf pirate stranded in the plains, who is slowly adapting to this and the fact he has only one arm left.
I'm Claudia. I'm playing GINA Ghost Friend, and she is a Taiko tech worshipper. So she is the one who talks to ghosts and puts them to rest and knows how to break corpses and prefers a necropolis over an inn. Excellent.
Well, whose turn is it to give us a recap of what went on in the last session? Is that you, Nisk?
I can do it if we want. That's fine. Should be able to.
Go for it. Go for it.
We had just basically returned to Pavis from our 8-week trip across the world. And most importantly, we went and protected made sure that everything was safe and put our new, sable riding one there in our shrine. Also, went down. Gina found a door downstairs, a secret locked door that wanted us to go in, but we all decided it was more important to go and see Argrath first and let him know what was going on. We realized that you can't just go up and say, "Hey, Argrath, I've got a question," to the what is he, the king of Pavis, and all those great things. So instead, we tracked down a few people to get help from, particularly Ronier the Hugh, who was a sable rider. We found him. We gave him gifts, particularly some moon rock and some weapons, and spoke very passionately and very plainly and honestly about what we saw and our concerns. That convinced him for us to go and see Argrath. And we got in to see Argrath. We were able to get an audience. Nisk presented very well the case, supported by the rest of the group. And we gave him the animals that we had gotten from the block, more of the moon rock, more of the weapons, et cetera, and of course the true stone, which is the most valuable thing. And Argrath drilled us very carefully, questioned us, and we were, responded because we're responding with honor and truth. It was appropriate, and he recognized it and understood. He gave us some gifts, some swords, crystals, and actually a nice herd of animals. And he named Nisk a Thane, and said that Nisk would have to spend his time at the feasts at Argrath's feast, if not at his table. And
well, one question I had about the questions he had. What was it that do you remember what you guys told him about Kalar Starbrow, the current quote unquote prince of Sartar
and Queen of the Keldon?
Yes.
What did we say about her particularly?
That she was certainly not denying responsibility for the Dragon Rise.
Oh, that was the big deal, yeah.
And was quite happy to accept the title of Argrath and King of. She was one of the princes.
The prince.
The prince. Yes, she was in her particular. Incorrect area of the world, the prince.
Oh, and then one last thing we did was we went down to go and check out that door that Gina had found. A couple of the stronger people in the group, GARAN and Colbrest, ripped the door open, and down we went, only to run in some flint nail cultists who were like, "Oh, stay away, get away, get away! The dwarves are coming! The dwarves are coming!" And we carefully retreated, and then we barred the door on our side, they barred the door on their side, and maybe we can talk to the Flint Nail later. But basically, it wasn't the great treasure haul and escape route that we hoped it was for the previous owner of this place.
You forgot something very important from last session. The dressing up.
Oh, right. At least one person, maybe two people in the group, decided to go all Israelian on us when he went there. So eye shade and everything. So GINA obviously looked fantastic. GARAN, well, we'll see.
Yeah, but your clothing was also very interesting.
My clothes is very appropriate. It was gifted to me by Argrath when we fought in Teshnos.
Yeah.
Well, I believe technically, Nisk, you took it off the dead body of a Teshnite nobleman, but that's pretty much the same thing.
It is the same thing to me.
All right, so thank you. Let's just dive into the session. It sounds like we're already going forward. I believe everybody's made their experience rolls. Questions I have is how close is Nisk getting to being able to try to claim Windlord status, or at least asked to claim?
I mean, according to the rules, say Orlanth, to be a Windlord of Orlanth, you have to have, I think, 5 skills over 90%, sword and another weapon. Honor is one of the options, orate, things like that, loyalty, devotion, and charisma of 18. This is everything but the charisma of 18.
So you currently have a charisma of 17. So you
That's
need
correct.
to find a way to get your charisma up 1 point.
Yep.
This is what it's going to ride on for you, Nisk. If you can manage to assert your guy's claim to the section of the rubble and make it obvious to folk that you have succeeded there, you'll get a +1 bonus in your charisma afterwards, because you'll be able to call yourself, the Thane of whatever part of Pappas you want to call yourself, the
Thane of Ballister's Barracks.
That would be pretty cool. That would be awesome. That would be a great title. Now, how about you, GARAN? How close are you getting to that for Humacht? If I recall, you're getting pretty close as well.
I am. My main problem is ride, and it's creeping up, but it's not there yet.
It doesn't have to be ride, does it?
To be a sword brother, I need to be able to ride.
But
no, to become a sword lord.
A sword
a sword lord. So, well, I've got sword over 100%. Shield. Yeah, 100%. What else do I've got? Honor of 90.
That's 3.
How's your devotion to Humacht?
That is at 74.
That's a good one to try to get up a few points, if that's something that you want. Let me see, what's the last one here? Forgive me, I have to find my...
I definitely want to become some kind of Rune Lord, because then I can take my revenge on the Rune Lord who opened me up in our first adventure.
I'll leave
How's your battle?
You haven't forgotten about that yet.
Oh, Ben Yarrow is going to die. I am going to find him.
Yeah, we're
going to
help
take at least one of his limbs.
Okay, I got the details.
And I will feed my raven his eyeballs.
Okay, so 90% in sword, and 3 more skills. Other than that, of the following: any other sword, battle, craft, bronze or iron, first aid, orate, ride, scan, or sense assassin.
No.
And then you must also have an honor passion of 90. We know you're very honorable.
Yeah.
And worship Humacht to 50 and a charisma of 18.
So my charisma's way off. Charisma's at 14.
There are other ways to get charisma up, by the way. You can raise charisma through training, or we can get super cool magical items also.
Or you can wear really fancy clothes all the time. and pulling yourself up. That's the,
That's true.
you know, there's a lot of ways. Probably the easiest stat to raise is charisma. And to be honest, I'm just being mean to Neil by throwing that. If he really wants to work at it, he can probably find other easier ways to raise his charisma up 1. So for instance, charisma goes up by 1 if you possess a good, showy, magical item. So like the sword you got won't count.
I didn't think so.
It's not good and showy enough. It's got to have something that has a name to begin with. It's got to be something cool in its own right. You also gain a point of charisma, successful leadership of a military expedition, which is what the conquest of your section of the rebel would count as. That would be a +1 for you. Another good one is just through going out of your way to have a very specific and impressive appearance at all times. You know, this is the equivalent of the person who is people pay attention to because he or she is immaculately and impressively dressed. But it only gets you one.
Charisma?
What? What's GINA's charisma?
Yeah, because that would seem to apply to GINA.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a charisma of 15.
I mean, surely that must.
Well, well, given that she does bring a hairdresser along with her.
Shall I tell you about him?
Yes, please, because you actually spent the time to make your hairdresser as a defined NPC.
That's
There we go. Oh, is he large size, right?
Yeah, Jeff actually sat down with me and said, it is very important to make Ogre. So I came up with Ogre, and he is an Israeli freedman, age of 40, so he's a little bit older already. He is an Annulled Initiate and has the runes Earth, Harmony, and the Man rune. And it's actually relatively balanced, 60, 75, and 75. He's old and a little bit overweight. And he has strength of 10, content size 10, dex 15, int 15, power 11, charisma 12. So I gave Jeff a few ideas what my picture and what my skill set of Ogre is, and he then translated it into skills equivalent.
Like a mini Mongo then. He's size 10.
Yeah, he's not big, but he is tough. He has very good organizational skills, so he has a managed household on 60. He knows to be in the background, and so he has a height of 50. He knows clothes and makeup, and especially he knows what to wear in which situation. So he has a fashion lore of 75.
Very useful skill, I think we would all agree.
It is.
It would have helped you tremendously against the Avatar of Chaos.
Maybe. Who knows?
There are other ways to fight chaos than just.
Yes, there are. So
Style.
he knows to be in the background, and also because of that, he actually is also very good in sneaking up in situations, or can backstab somebody with a pen or a frying pan, or maybe put some poison into a drink if people are not appropriate. So he has a move quietly on 50 and alchemy on 50. So this is actually the summary of Ogre.
And being a hairdresser, can you slit people's throats with the...
I didn't say he's a barber.
He's not a barber.
He doesn't do beards at all.
No, he is specialized on making nice braids and so on.
Quite a good subplot if we sort of turned our White Bull Shrine into Sweeney Todd's barbershop and sold pies and stuff.
Okay.
That'd be an interesting direction for the campaign.
We have a seller for it, but
We do, yeah. We've got
You
everything
know,
we need.
anyway.
Really.
You know,
I'm just saying.
just to kind of put back, you guys are already actually hardened killers and are rewarded for it. So actually becoming Sweeney Todd would be sort of like, you know, it would be sort of like, but why do they kill people in secret? I mean, they could just walk
yeah,
up and
that's
kill them.
Oh, yeah.
And don't forget, it's kind of like your Black Fang friends.
true.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true. We need to get revenge on them as well. I don't think I've added them
we
to my
do.
list.
You
of
need your
people we're
list,
gonna
man.
get. I'm keeping that list.
You're keeping it good. Well, so let's set the scene here. Is you guys came back at the end of dark season, and it's now storm season here in New Pavis. Storm season is, you know, this is, let me just give you an idea of the weather then. But it is, not surprisingly, the stormiest time of the year. So I am just turning to the Prax climate section. And this time of year, it bounces between about -1 and a high of 13. There is about 6 centimeters of rainfall this time of year. And for the first half of the season, there's 16 days of rain, which basically means it rains almost every day during sea season. When it doesn't rain, that's because the desert wind is blowing from the east, which brings no moisture. And whenever the desert wind blows, there is no rain. And there's a little smattering, there's usually a little smattering of snow. The important things about storm season is this is when Orlanth has his high holy day. This is when Storm Bull has his high holy day. And this is when Humacht has his high holy day. Storm season that's the religious festivals of the storm and war gods. That being said, there's no reason that you can't head out whenever you want into the big rubble. Let me pull up for comparison purposes or for just thinking purposes the map of the big rubble and let you guys decide what you all want to do. I'm going to share screens. So you see here is the big rubble. Let's see if we can make this a little bit bigger. Oh, look at that. Isn't that better? Okay, so you can see New Pavis, I hope.
Yep.
Can you guys?
Yep.
You see New Pavis. You can see Blind King's Hill and Ballastar's Barracks, which is the core of your guys' grant.
Mm-hmm.
It's not very far. I mean, if you look at the scale, your entire grant is basically a kilometer by a kilometer. So it's maybe, you know, what, 2.5 kilometers. So you can go to your area anytime you want during storm season and scout it out or make whatever other claims. And you should certainly be able to return regularly to New Pavis. If you can't return to New Pavis, it probably means you have a problem that is not a scheduling problem, but a worse problem than just distance of travel.
Wasn't Opilis Fort on Temple Hill part of our claim?
It's on your map.
Yeah.
Somebody else claims it though.
Yeah, Carva Spoil Seeker has taken it.
Yeah, well, you haven't talked to her about it. You
Yeah.
know, she's got about 250 warriors that follow her.
I see.
And she's claiming it.
And she's a wolf pirate.
She's a wolf pirate and a high llama rider.
Hmm?
Maybe Colbrast knows her well too.
Who knows?
Well, both of
Not
you
sure.
Question
know-
is, do they like each other or not?
Well, that's a question. You tell me. Do you guys know? This is why I summarized these characters, gave them very brief summaries beforehand, so that if there's somebody there that you want to deal with, first you have an idea of who's important here, and you can tell me whether you have any connection. Carva Spoils Seeker served with Argrath. She was a wolf pirate. She is a high llama rider. Nisk and Colbrast would certainly know who she is. So now the question is, what do you guys know of her? She's she is a charismatic leader. She's very, very determined to get what she thinks is hers. She was a very, very competent wolf pirate, very, very aggressive at pillaging. And she hates trolls.
Yeah, she was okay. I mean, perfectly fine. But not someone you want to meddle with necessarily.
Not yet, not right now. I mean, we've got a recruit to help us clear out this pet place, and I think we've got a lot of other areas we can go to first, but we can suss out what it's really like and what she needs. I don't think that, the area right now I think there's a lot of stuff that's pretty rough and ready and who claims what.
Mm.
So, I mean, our piece of paper will stand us in some odd, but we've got to be able to back it up. And against 250 warriors, I don't think we should even try to back it up.
You could ask her for a duel.
We could.
She sounds dangerous.
I don't think it's worth it right now. I think she's probably a better lance rider than she did.
I'm happy to deal with your corpse if it goes wrong.
Which is another reason not to think very carefully about these things.
If she's having problems getting rid of the trolls in that area, we're not going to be able to handle those trolls either.
Maybe we can offer her sort of our approval of her ownership of this, despite it being given to us, if she, allows us to set up a base in her camp for our forays.
I'm not actually sure we got Temple Hill either. I actually thought we got Blind King's Hill, Old Flint Nail Fort, the main quarry, and Griffin Gate.
Well, your map includes part of Temple Hill.
Okay.
Whether that is really yours. Keep in mind, these are not incredibly, how did Argrath come up with these allotments?
He ripped them up and drew them out roughly.
Yeah.
But I would start on an area where someone else isn't, so we can get some stuff, and we need to recruit. If we're going to high and hold something, we need people to be able to camp there. There's fields. We can have a pasture for animals if we want. There's lots of options here.
Other ones. What were you going to say?
I was going to say this contested fort might be a good place to set up camp, for initially at least, and possibly find some people to go with us.
Which one? Which one are you talking about?
The camp on Temple, the fort on Temple Hill.
The Temple Hill, where she has 250 warriors?
She does not have that fort yet. She claims it as hers.
She's not taking it. She's not in place.
No, there is still, in order for her to actually have that, she still needs to defeat the trolls that reside in Opili's fort.
But I have to say, I do agree with Nisk on the fact that there's a lot of other places to go, and Blind King's Hill, Blind King's Castle sounds really cool place to end up.
If she wants to deal with the trolls, then yeah, let's go somewhere else. I thought she was already in situ, in which case it might have been quite a good base of operations if we could make some kind of deal with it.
Let's go scout some areas out and get an idea of what we need and who we need to take, and what we need to get there. I know that the part by Griffin Gate, there's a lot of ruins there, and that are also quite dangerous. There may be trolls, probably, given that it's ruins. But we need to find out who's in what area. And maybe we can try and get some information before we go out there, but I recommend we ride out if we think we're a big enough group to do so, which I believe we are.
Yep.
What do you think, Colbrast?
That's a good idea. And we can always stroll over at our leisure and sort of wave our map about, just, you know, to make it, have it known that we might at one point come to visit. But at this point, it doesn't really make sense.
No.
And we can always visit, you know, we know her from our campaign on pirate ships, so that's no problem.
It might also be worthwhile for me to point out that that not that far from Zebra's Hill, maybe a little bit over 1 kilometer away, is from Blind King's Hill, is Zebra Fort, which is used. The commander of Zebra Fort is Aaron Baragrat, who is a zebra rider, who killed his uncle, the previous ruler of Zebra Fort, who is pro-lunar, killed him and took it for Argrath and was rewarded with possession of Zebra Fort. There is Arama Peglegs operates out of Zebra Fort. And then there is the Lunar Tarshite captain who also operates. She's got a band of hardened killers that operate out of the Yalorna temple near Zebra Fort and is allied with the Yalorna cultists. So there's quite a few there at Zebra's Fort. There's nothing around Blind King's Hill other than what's her name again? Carva.
But she's looking for the temple one. She actually is in old.
No, she just operates around there around Poke. She's known to, her band is often in that area.
Okay.
So why don't we do a reconnaissance ride?
I think so first.
Take stuff along, ride in, have a look around, chat to people, see what they're up to.
Deal is, see what the deal is with the old flint nail temple and everything. Maybe the flint nail guys are interested in, you know, reclaiming it now that Argrath's here. And there's a lot of warriors willing to go into the rubble.
And I seem to remember they told us how we could find them if we wanted to.
Yes, it's in. It's basically quite about 1.5 blocks away from where our house is.
Yep.
There's just an area where there's a door basically, and over a left, kind of like I guess a big door we can go pound on.
Yep.
Talk to them.
So I even show the picture because it is just right. It's awkwardly close.
Yeah, it's Dwarf Street, right?
Yes. Does anybody else have their map up?
I don't, but I remember it.
Dwarf Street and High Street, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
Yes. So let me just show this picture really quick. I'm getting used to this whole sharing screens thing. Okay, you guys remember your house? Can you see it?
Yeah.
Here.
Safeway and High Street.
Safeway and Thane Street. So right over, if you see where it says Dwarf Street, there are entries. Right in that cliff there, those are the entries into Dwarftown. So you're literally on top of Dwarftown. Well, with that, I leave it up to you guys. You guys tell me what sort of information you want to gather, and what I would love to do is run out this first ride to reconnaissance, to reconnoiter Blind King's Hill or wherever it is that you want to reconnoiter. And
well, either Blind King's Hill or Griffin Gate are the two areas that I think are the most interesting for us. Blind King's Hill and then over to Griffin Gate and that.
I assume it's probably easier to get to Griffin Gate.
Oh, because it's
drive around the outside of the rubble rather than having to go.
I don't know if you can get in through the gate.
These are all good things to either, you can either walk or ride 2 kilometers.
So that gate is open? Do we know that? So
How would you know that? How would you know that?
I wouldn't.
Oh, I can send my raven.
You know, I'm just saying, here is another thing you can do, which people sometimes do in the real world.
We can talk to people.
Yeah.
You can also walk 2 kilometers
And have a look.
and go, hey, is this open or not? I'm just saying you can do that pretty easily.
Or ride.
Or you could ride there. You could do, there's a lot of ways to find it.
So we could spend one day and just go do a scout on the outside and see if there's a way in.
Yeah.
Is that all right?
We might as well saddle up. We've got horses and meat, and I need to improve my riding skill. So we can ride around the outside and just have a shifty.
Do you want to race? Or you could race the high llama rider.
all in good time, Nisk. All in good time. GARAN knows his limits.
So is this your guys' plan to just ride out over to the Griffin Gate?
I think so. First, check it out on the outside wall.
Yeah.
Gina, no?
Maybe we could also dance over.
I can't dance on a bison very well, I'm afraid.
I can better dance than I can ride.
So who's going to check out the gate?
I'd like all of us to go.
Yeah. Full party.
Okay, then what I would love is you guys could come up with your plan. I am just going to quickly refill my glass of wine, so we don't even need to stop the recording because you guys can discuss what your plan is. I'll be right back.
I don't think we have a complicated plan. I don't know who's the tactician of the group. Colbrass has the cunning plans. So
Going into side gates usually is my cunning plan. So that would have been taken care of already. But
there is a way to go through Zebra Fort and go inside. Like we could do the whole thing inside through the rubble, but it may be good to check the outside first.
We can walk all the way around and go in at the troll break.
There's it's a troll break because the trolls broke it, right? But that's where more of the trolls are, so I would be careful.
So that would even make it quite interesting.
True.
But we can always have a look at the gate.
Well, let's start with the Griffin Gate first. We can decide. If we want to go all the way around, that's a very long ride though, right?
Yeah.
It's like 4 kilometers. We do that in 10 minutes or something. 15 minutes?
Yeah, true. Not too far.
Whatever. I'm checking out the gate. I'm going there. I check if it's closed, open, how it looks. If it's warm, cold, I put my hand on it. Game master.
Okay, are we ready?
I probably wouldn't want to go through Troll Gate because that's through the Troll's strong lands right now. Definitely if we go through the day. But we can at least go around and check it on the outside.
Just to let you, those of you all who are familiar with Pavis, which is basically Nisk, knows there's a variety of ways to get over there. And once again, at the risk of oversharing this map, but gosh, I've always loved this map, so I'm going to share it anyways. Okay, if you guys see here, there is the People's Gate, which leads right to the area called Manside. You could also take the river and take the Zolafell River on a nice leisurely tour, maybe to Zebra Fort, maybe elsewhere, and take a boat. Or you can go across the bridge over to the Griffin Gate and go in through the Griffin Gate. Or if you wanted to be nice and brave, you could go further and go through the Troll Gate, through the Troll Stronglands. I'm sure that's just fine. Or you could go through the Hippogriff Gate in the garden, which is an area dominated by the elves. Or I guess if you wanted to be really perverse, you could go over to the Wyvern Gate and go all the way through the ruins.
But aren't there any areas where the walls are crumbled down? So do we have to go through a gate?
That's Troll Break.
The Troll Break.
Yeah, but there's nothing else where the walls crumbled down.
I mean,
it's old.
We've climbed
They-
over the walls of Pavis when they were being held by the Lunars. I really
No.
don't think.
These aren't the same walls, you know.
These
They're
are
not.
not.
If you look behind me on my little screen here, you can see the little wall of the big wall.
Hey, would you point?
Little wall. Well,
That's what you climbed.
Little wall. That's the wall we climbed over. Big wall. That's the wall to the rubble's inside.
We
But
need
it's
a
not
longer rope.
impossible.
I just don't. I don't.
Okay.
I don't think we need to be too worried.
Who can
About-
fly?
Okay, look, there are gates. Why don't we use a gate?
Let's go check out the Griffin
Let's go
Gate.
to the Griffin Gate.
I'm actually quite. I think using a boat would be great because I haven't done that in quite a while.
It's whatever.
Well, we've
No
got a
one
lot
wants
of
to use
time
a
to
boat?
explore. Let's check the Griffin Gate from the outside.
Okay.
We know if we can get in or not, and then we'll go back on the inside. I never did pick up that swimming stuff that you talked about, but that was so you felt was so important when I was.
The Griffin Gate is part of our gift. So
Right.
I mean, we should at least see what condition it's in.
There we go.
I said I want to touch it. I want to go there. I want to
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
it.
As an aside, the walls around the big rubble are 25 meters high, and they're made of a single stone. So it's not masonry; it's a single slab of stone.
Wow.
So unless you are really good at climbing, you're not going to be able to climb over this thing. I mean, really good at climbing. Anybody got a 90% of climbing?
Nope.
How tall did you say it was? 25, how many meters?
25 meters.
25 meters?
Yeah.
25 meters.
It's not that high.
I could technically jump it. Yep. But I wouldn't, but I'm not
With, using magic.
Oh yeah, using like all my rune magic. It's not too useful.
Yes, it is possible if you've got flying magic or special jumping magic to get up there. But yes, Claudia or Gina, even for Ezrolia, 25-meter high walls are absurdly high.
But I think that we can do a day trip and check the outside and see if there's even a way to get in. At least then we'll know.
Yeah, we should definitely see the condition, the state of the Griffin Gate.
I think that's an awesome idea. Tell me how you want to be equipped for that, and let's do it.
I'm ready for war, to be honest.
Yes,
Definitely
full.
have my bison. I have spare equipment to be able to have to spend a few nights. We have water. I have food. All those sorts of things. Probably have some shovels or some stuff for, in case we're going to go dig. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention. We talked about offline. Is Wahatal interested in hanging out with us more, given how successful we've been?
Are you willing to pay him?
I think so. Are we? I mean, I mentioned earlier what I wanted to that I wanted to give part of the loot to. He's owed his share anyway, which I'll work out a little later. But if he wants to stay with us, sure.
As I said offline, I am a big Wahatal fan.
Wahatal, it would be totally up for it if Wahatal gets paid. So let me just look at what Wahatal thinks he ought to be given. Are you hiring him per year or by the season?
Let's hire him for a year.
Yes, because by the season is slightly insulting. By the year makes him household.
Is it then cheaper?
Says the
I think it is.
Israelian. This is what Wahatal demands. Wahatal demands 6 Impala a year. 6. I demand 6 Impala. I demand to be able to. I demand to eat in your household.
Mm-hmm.
to camp in your lands. And a whole list of traditional Praxian requirements that they have, you know, like if he kills somebody, you protect him. You know, all the basic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If he killed somebody, we have to protect him.
Well, the guy may want to duel Wahatal in the field with a sword, and that may not go over well for him. But how he knows, it could be a Praxian bow duel, right? These are pretty, you know, deathly evil.
By protection is basically that you will not. What he will do is he will make a oath of loyalty to you, but it has to be reciprocal.
Yeah,
He will serve you. You will protect him and take care of him, etc. In the ways that a Khan normally takes care of his men. And he wants 6 impala a year for it.
Okay. How much do I think that really is worth in the scheme of things?
Okay.
I just don't know I'd have to look at the cost of stuff to see.
I'm just going to let you know that comes out to probably about 60 liners a year.
Okay. Which is about the price of a warrior anyway, right? That's exactly a warrior's.
It's the price of a warrior.
All right. Yeah, no problem. I think basically an Impala a season and an extra at sacred time.
He thinks it's totally reasonable. Totally reasonable. As well as his proper share of any plunder taken.
And he has to worship at our White Bull Shrine.
He loves the White Bull. The White Bull is the son of the son of Storm Bull and brother of Waha. He's happy to do that. As long as he's allowed to offer his praise to Waha.
Of course.
He's also perfectly happy to offer praise and sacrifice to Waha's brother. That's totally fine. He's cool with that. As an aside, the White Bull can be easily combined with the cults of Orlanth, Storm Bull, and Waha, super easily.
Mm-hmm.
Harder with other cults. But it works like peanut butter and chocolate with these other ones. So easy. All right, so you're bringing Wahatal?
I think so. Yep.
Gina, are you bringing Orgirl?
Yeah. How long are we on our trip?
Well, it might be an overnight or two.
Into the dangerous ruins?
Yeah.
With your hairdresser?
He stays back. He comes with us, but he stays in the background.
Hopefully no one will see you, Gina. So that's a for us.
Yeah, the thing is, he's helping me write because my writing skill is still so terrible.
He's not any better. He's actually worse.
This could become interesting.
King, that's changing it. You're retconning it. That was one of the key characteristics she hired him for, was he could do hair and ride. I remember he was helping her ride.
That's
Claudia
true.
got to pick his skills.
But this was true that he helped me write.
Yes, once upon a time he was better than you. Because you were that bad.
Jeff, I have 16.
Like he has a 15.
He has a 15.
Yeah. Great.
He just lied at being good at it.
Yeah. Plus, we never worked out how he was helping. He might have just been holding you in place.
That's what he did. That's what we said.
And we never, got to hear how many times you fell off. So,
by the way, my mental image of this guy is he looks just like Zero Mostel from Something Funny Happened on the Way to the Forum, or from The Producers. It's Zero Mostel. He is not as great looking as his clients.
He makes his clients look good.
He makes his clients look good.
Yes, and he's also always in the background. Keep that in mind. But he's there when I need him. If my eye line needs to be lined, he's there. If I need to get rid of somebody, he's there. So he's always there when I need him.
Okay. Well, you guys, so it sounds like everybody is pretty much well geared up to be a war party. You guys are wearing your armor?
Oh, yeah.
You've got Wahatal?
Yep.
So it's actually a group of, it's a sizable group. This is 8 people. In some law codes, this is called, this is the size of a group that you can assume is up to no good.
What?
But we're honest homeowners or landowners.
That's the worst kind of people.
Did I miss out? Did I miss out on something? Because we're 5 players on Wahatal.
Oh, sorry, 6. There's 7 of you all. I was just counting the number of boxes, not realizing I'm one of the boxes here. So, anyway, 7. That's still that's under the point where people automatically assume ill intent. 7's always okay. So, but you guys are armed for bear, and you go across the huge bridge over the Zolafel River. And this bridge, it was badly damaged when the cradle 4 years ago, actually, yeah, almost 5 years ago, came down the river, and the looters thought it was going to be big enough that it would easily deal with the crater. It wasn't. So the bridge was badly damaged and is being repaired by the flint nail cultists. One of many projects that Argrath has the flint nail cultists working on to repair and renovate the city. But you're able to go over the bridge, and on the other side of the river is the area called Badside. And back in the lunar days, this is basically where all the undesirables, all the nomads had to be, where a lot of the Orlanthe troublemakers ended up in. And Badside was, it was pretty much what derelicts and losers. But now under Argrath, many of the worst of the residents of Badside now have homes in the city and titles and captaincies. And so Badside is even worse. It is even more desperate because the nomads don't have to be there. The nomads have better camps and have full access to the city. So you guys ride through Badside, and it is a desperate hovel. I don't know if your characters care one way or another, but there are beggars here. People asking for clacks, money for food. Oh, bright lords, a handout.
Do we know if Argrath has any plans to help these people?
Yeah, we are the plan.
Now, I'm going to introduce you to an unfortunate part of Bronze Age warlordism. Bronze Age warlords, GARAN, don't tend to be terribly, they're very, very supportive of poor people that they are related to, or poor people that are members of their group, and they tend to be very generous. But to people that are outside of their kinship structure or their web of alliances, they don't exist. That's just how this is how a Praxian Khan, a wolf pirate turned Praxian Khan turned local warlord, isn't going to have a particularly progressive social policy for dealing with unrelated poor people.
I guess it's just I have high hopes of Argrath.
Yeah,
I see him
that's
as a more elevated Bronze Age warlord. I see
You
him
may.
less,
He may be
less
more
Agamemnon,
elevated, but you know.
more Priam, you know.
You know, it's said that the Lunars claimed they cared for all the poor. Tilo Nori and all that.
They made deals with chaos that were not acceptable.
There you go.
The question is whether any of you guys. I'm just curious how your characters deal with the.
I think that Nisk has a certain memory after, you know, he grew up on the streets after his, you know, basically his parents died. And, you know, he basically probably had to hang out around here as well. Maybe that's where he first learned a certain patois of that. So he's going to basically give a few coppers out, plaques out, but not much. And as long as they move out of the way when he does it, kind of thing.
ENKALA.
Yeah, I'm gonna do as Nisk. I don't really have any hatred for poor people. They're just really unfortunate. They're not chaos, and it's probably the structures that the Lunars put in place. They're made them this way. So.
How about you, Colbrast?
Well, I don't see why I would give money to these people.
That perfectly rational. And Gina?
I'm not giving money there.
Okay, GARAN.
Maybe I give them some food, a little bit of snack food, but no money.
You've just been, I mean, keep in mind, this is basically like walking through the worst derelict areas of a dying town filled with chronic public inebriates and people that only wish they could be Hazia addicts like you, ENKALA. They wish they could. So, GARAN, worshiper of death.
I'm an ascetic. I give away a couple of coins, but I don't have a lot to give. I travel light. You know.
So okay, you guys are very, very generous, and for what it's worth, that is most likely our Grath. If for some reason he even had to go through bad side, would give out coins and whatnot. But I noticed none of you guys also have any sort of grand social planning for what to do with. Because this is a byproduct of how kinship societies work. Is if you're outside of the kinship group, you can be generous.
Well, I mean, it's a potential pool of recruits, so that might
something
be
that you could check later. I mean, if we can get a place set up near Griffin Gate, we could definitely get some people from there. But let's check the place out.
We're riding on, no problem.
You know, this is feeling like actually the opening season of The Wire, as you guys are beginning to recruit amongst Baltimore's most desperate.
Baltimore's finest.
All right, you all ride around to Griffin Gate, and it's, you know, around this area is farmland. It's mainly just farmland and grassland, and there is no there's nobody in bad side that are going to screw with 7 mounted warriors. So you guys are able to go all the way around outside of it and go to Griffin Gate. And Griffin Gate, just to give you some details on it, the Western Gatehouse is a ruin. The roof is mostly whole. Numerous small flying and climbing creatures have made it their home over the centuries. For a while, the trolls used this gate as a lookout tower and a base from which to taunt nomads who would attempt and fail to pass the troll set magical wardings. But after the Dragon Newt incursion over almost a century ago, the trolls found healthier places to taunt from and left the tower to the birds and the insects. So there's two big gatehouses. The western one is in ruins, but the eastern gatehouse is in good shape. Stepping back from the wall in either direction and looking carefully, you can see that the sloping roof has been clumsily but thoroughly patched, almost as if a colossal bird was building a nest in the gatehouse. So it's been all thatched, and holes and ruins have been patched up, but they've been patched up not like humans would, but like how a giant bird would.
Mm.
And let me get a tiny bit more information about the gates themselves. Each of these gates here
Could it be a griffin at the griffin gate?
well, the griffin, there is a guardhouse, and the gate itself has been opened, and it's been opened ever since the Dragonutes busted open the seals. So it's possible to go right through the gate.
Yeah, then let's do that.
Okay, and this gate building here, unlike the walls, which are just giant slabs of rock, hundreds of meters. There's a single slab of rock that goes from Griffin Gate to the north corner of the rubble that's almost a kilometer long. But the gatehouse itself has been built out of many stones. So it's unlike in a normal city, the gatehouse is actually the weakest part of the structure. But nonetheless, it is magnificent. There's a big griffin carved on the above the gate, beautiful and ornate. And I would like Gina to roll percentile dice as you guys go into the gatehouse.
I rolled a 25.
All right, as you roll, as you enter the gatehouse, there is a booming sound inside the gatehouse. Big and booming.
Sound. I tell
Let me see it is in trade talk. A booming voice, and it says, it says, strangers, will you trade with me?
Of course.
And it's coming from above in the hollow of the gatehouse. So if you can imagine, there's this gatehouse that goes up, all the floors have been busted. And as you're going in through this, there's this voice from above, strangers, will you trade with me?
I say I trade a dance for a dance.
I trade knowledge for knowledge.
Depends on what kind of knowledge you're talking about.
You tell me of the outside world, and I tell you what you want within the walls.
Sounds plausible.
Sounds fair.
Yep, good deal.
Okay. People make a scan roll.
One of the skills that didn't increase.
No.
That's not probably not a good one.
09. So I specialed, I think. Let me check.
Pass, just.
Nope.
Scan.
And
03, but it's a special.
okay, so hands up who's failed. those of you all succeed, you can see in the darkness above inside the gatehouse, there is motion and movement. And it's like huge cords moving around, like some sort of giant metal cable sliding around up inside the gatehouse. It's hard to make out because of the darkness, but whatever it is, if I want you to imagine like a rope or a cable or something.
Could it be like a giant snake as big as that?
Like a giant snake would also be a good one. And when I mean giant, I mean something like 12 meters long, though.
Can we read it in Old Wormish?
And Nisk, you can get a better view of it. It's got wings.
I will greet it. I will cast a spirit magic spell, which increases my communication ability, and I will greet it and try to greet it in Old Wormish.
Okay. Would you roll against your Old Wormish with your communication bonus?
I do not succeed with my Old Wormish.
And Kala, I believe you were also going to try to show off your magnificent Old Wormish skills.
Only after I hear him do it, because I don't really see it. I only get it explained.
Yeah. I'll tell them what we think it is. It's a winged.
What do you think it is?
It's something.
Tell me. What do you?
I think it's a worm.
You're not gonna believe me, but actually, it rolled a 12 on my 14 skill.
So you succeeded in Old Wormish.
Yeah.
You are responded to back in Old Wormish. This thing is fluent in Old Wormish.
Oh dear.
It comes into view, and would people like to see what this thing looks like?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure they would. Yes, please.
Let me just get to this. Here we are. This is a pretty good picture of what this probably looks like.
Oh, it's pretty.
It's instead of blue though, it's a yellow golden look to it. So it's yellow gold in color. But it's huge. It's easily it is easily 12 meters long. And it introduces itself as Wind Whistler, priest of the Sun Dragon. And it is impressed that you speak Old Wormish, and so what it offers is it offers to trade information for information. So
I don't think we're claiming this power right now.
yes, and it offers it asks you what you want from it and what you offer it.
Oh, does it know about the dragon rise, you think?
I think we could offer what we could tell about it.
Yeah.
Is it? He said he could tell us about the rubble, what's inside the rubble, and we should tell what we know about the dragon rise, what has happened, what what Argrath raised or who Argrath talked to raise, convinced to raise, and then coming in to destroy the temple. So we'll definitely willing to share the news, what news we have about the dragon rise and the places as we have recently returned from Sarder.
Yeah, we could also include our own little adventure.
We could also talk about
stuff like that.
Our battle against chaos, because I'm sure do we know anything about the Sun Dragon? Probably not.
I don't think you've ever heard of the Sun Dragon. Hey guys, can we take a phenomenally short break here?
Yep. Okay, so I mean, things that we're willing to talk about. We're definitely willing to talk about what we know about the Dragon Rise. We'll talk about how we, learned how Argrath communicated with the Great Dragon Spirit, to try and ask it to talk about it, to get away, deal with the chaos, and talk about our effects, what we did in our battle against chaos, with the Eternal Battle, and how we fought there. And movements of peoples, if that's something that interests this guy. There's not reason to keep it all secret. And we'll also talk about our the fact that we are trying to learn Old Wormish, and would love a chance to be able to practice it, although you must excuse us for our limited knowledge repertoire at the moment.
All right, you tell me in each of these, and I will give you I'll give a judgment on how valuable Wind Whistler considers that information. What do you tell him about the Dragon Rise? For he is aware that a true dragon has awakened.
Mm-hmm.
We have all sensed it. We saw it. But what can you tell him about it?
We can tell him that Argrath, he who came with Jaldan and took the city with us as we carried over it from the Lunars, and he actually had communicated for years long, talking to the dragon spirit, and is the one that convinced it to rise up and destroy the lunar temple that was being built around it, to try and harness and steal the dragon's power. And
it asks if this Argrath is in the city, outside of the city.
Yes, he is the king. He is the king of the city, outside of the city.
And this Argrath is a dragon friend.
Yes, there is also another one there called Gloranthan, who is also a dragon friend. He is a kinsman of mine. And if you like, I could introduce you to him.
Well, this has him very intrigued. For this information, he wishes to know where in the rubble you plan to go, and he will tell you what he knows about the way there and what is there. He says humans who come from the outside rarely know much about what is on the inside. And you tell me where you want to go, and he will give you useful information. Or he will tell you about a location.
Well, we are wishing to learn about a few areas as to travel through. We do wish to learn about the areas around your domicile, the gate, the Griffin Gate, as we call it, because of the carvings, and the surroundings around there. We also want to learn about the old Flintnail Temple up on the hill there in the quarry area.
The Blind King Hill, or oh yeah, and there was a mine thing.
Main quarry, yes. He tells you that in the area around, in the ruins within the gate, there is a giant that he has seen in the ruins near Griffin Gate. There is a giant. He has also seen some trolls, and not a troll gang from Temple Hill or the Stronglands, but there are trolls that reside here that he has seen. He does not like trolls. I do not like trolls, but I do not find, nor am I willing to fight them. They are not as strong as they were in younger days, but there are still many trolls in the rubble. He is also, I know that there are several gangs of brew and fowler things that I have seen around the gate. on multiple occasions, which makes me think that there is something of there is perhaps a hidden shrine or some strong brew or something within the area here, because normally brew bands do not cooperate and certainly rarely work together, but those are there as well. And I have even found on the river between the gate and, on the road between the gate and the river, I've even found, I have found the corpse of a man that was drained of all blood.
Ooh.
And I do not know what and why, but it had been slain and drained of blood.
These are not good things.
He asks if you consider that to be a fair trade of information for information.
I do.
So he says, do you wish to trade more?
Certainly, if you are interested. We could talk to you about, how familiar are with the eternal battle and such that go on here?
He says that is a Praxian thing, a relic of the God's War.
Well, it still continues, and it actually seems to have set itself on at the place of a battle, a place where we had to retreat from the Lunars when they summoned rocks from the moon, and they also and meteors, and sent in loons against us. We visited there when we went to Sartor and on the return, and there we were drawn into that battle and had to face an avatar of the mad god Ragnalar. Due to the doubtiness and great skill of my comrades and myself, we were able to defeat this and drive it off and bring news to the block, because this mad god told us that they were planning for the return of his son.
He says, I do not know the value of that information, so I will give you information that I know that may be of great or little value to you. But an age ago, your people and mine, we communicated together and did great things together, great and terrible things. And the Sun Dragon, who I am a priest of, the Sun Dragon was placed upon the throne of the Northern Barbarians by your ancestors. And they worshipped him, they called him emperor and worshiped him as their god. He admits that that is esoteric information, but so is yours.
Well, we were both learning of each other and of the areas of that.
But he is pleased to talk with you. He is pleased to talk with you. And does anybody else try one more time to speak to him in Old Wormish?
I will, yeah.
Okay.
Give it a roll. Unlikely, but you never know. Yeah, that's a fail.
How bad of a fail?
A 58 against 15.
He is not offended. Not offended at all. he is pleased and says that you are always welcome to his house to speak with him of matters. He wishes to know more about this Argrath. And he wishes to know more about whether there are still light people, sun worshippers and light worshippers in the city, outside of the city.
There are still worshippers of the sun outside of the city. One of them I know relatively well. His name is Rurik Runespear, and he is he has traveled. He is a companion of Argrath and a great warrior.
He is very intrigued and invites you anytime you wish to come back to his gate. He wishes to speak with you more about this Argrath and of the light worshippers and of the these dragon friends. I mean, he's a giant snake, so you can't get any inflection about whether he's happy about that or not happy about that. But he
seems reasonable. I mean, he's not angry at us.
No, not at all.
So I'll mention that we do plan. Argrath has asked us to take to review the areas around your gate and to see what there is, and we do expect to be back and traveling here again.
He warns you about the giant, though. He says that that there is a giant. It poses little threat to me, but he believes that it is a known man-eater.
Does the giant have a name?
He calls it the giant that lives near Griffin Gate. That's its Old Wormish name.
That is a good name.
Probably sounds much better in Old Wormish too.
I'm imagining Old Wormish is this beautiful and complex sibilant language with a lot of S's and B's.
Besides knowledge, is there anything else you like if we could bring to trade?
He would trade. He would very happily trade more knowledge for money. He accepts that. He prefers wheels. He prefers gold to silver and silver to copper. He will not. He does not. But he will accept whatever you have in trade, as long as it is of value.
Mm-hmm. So that is the theme here. I mean, he talks trade talk. He likes gold. That's weird.
Did you ask him about that or not?
Well, of course, differently. So yes, I heard you talk trade talk, and you like gold. Is it custom for you to trade like this?
He says that through trading, I may learn more about the world, and I may communicate. Is that not what trade is?
Yes.
Is it not communication?
Yes and no, but you can trade communication. Yeah.
When I was a small worm, I remember I spoke much with a human who is a priest of the talking god. And he told me every trade is harmonious communication, where each party gets what they want without violence or bloodshed. He says, I liked this. And this is how, this is a way where you and I may communicate and both get what we want by trade. Is this correct?
Well, it's a novel idea, I guess. We could just communicate without trading.
But if
there are trades that don't give each parties what they want. But I mean, as a pirate, I know a lot about these kinds of trades, to be honest. So it isn't always harmonious.
He rumbles.
Okay, let's just sort of slowly.
So do you want to go further in then?
You know, now the worm wants to speak to you more, Kolbrast, and says, I have, what do you mean that not every party gets what they want in a trade? Did you not get, did you not get what you wanted in that trade of the trade that we had?
We did,
have I committed wrong action?
No.
Have you committed wrong action?
No. So in our language, that would be a fair trade. Because it is, as you say, everyone gets what they want.
Kolbrast is telling you that there are those who seek to pervert the true and honest piece of communication and trade. And that sadly, we must be wary of such people when they try not to, when they don't do a trade where there was a fair exchange, as I feel we have had.
It again makes that sound that it is somewhat troubled by these ideas, and asks you, what people seek to pervert this?
I guess people who wish to put themselves over others. Bandits and hooligans.
Or people who are greedy.
You have given me things to think about, Kolbrast One Arm. Is this common? I believed that all trades were what your people call, what you said call a fair trade. Is it possible that I may have participated in a not fair trade? And this worm is getting closer to you, and it's 12 meters long.
Yeah.
It's
I'm just
fangs.
waiting my words here.
Its fangs, each one of its fangs, you know, are like that big, and it's had a very friendly conversation with you so far, but there's a, it says
it still looks dangerous, is what you're trying to tell me.
Yeah, I'm looking at its damage. Yeah, it's dangerous. Oh yeah.
Well, it is possible that people went away not having given you a fair bargain for your part of the trade.
So are you saying that I did not receive what was my due, or that I did not give them what I should have?
It is possible that you at one point perhaps maybe did not receive what you were due, but I don't know this, obviously.
I will think on this and speak to you again.
Yeah. I'll go and brush up on my house economics.
Yeah. How quickly do you guys try to get out of the gatehouse?
Quickly.
I think we leave it.
But you know, with a certain dignity.
Yeah, definitely. We don't want to look like we're running. We want to.
This could be a really good ally of ours if we do this right.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Who knows what thoughts it now has thanks to Colbrast confusing its economic model.
I was banking a bit on that, to be honest, being a pirate and all. I mean, I'm not 100% into this fair trade doctrine, so
I know you're not, Colbrast, but maybe
Do me a
the
favor.
12-meter long lizard
Fair trade
who
with
left with its
him.
illusion.
yeah, I'm not suicidal, so yes, I will.
I didn't think so.
All right, you guys get through the other side of Griffin Gate, and this area here is what there is. It is a big a courtyard in front of the gate. Let me just give a little bit of a description here. There is a, and I thought I had drawn a picture of this. Give me one moment, if you will, or perhaps I am merely hallucinating it. But basically, if you can imagine that the walls come to a point here, and here is where the gate is.
Mm-hmm.
And this would be much easier if I would draw a very, very quick picture, which I shall. I'm pretty sure I already have. Or maybe I was just remembering an ancient picture from days long gone. Actually, I know where this is. There's a courtyard in front of the gate. And then you have ruins, and you have kind of overgrown ruins. And rather than, I will make a nice picture next time, but for the moment, we'll make do with this. Okay. Can we all see this here?
Can you move it? Yeah, there we go. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Overgrown ruins and ruins. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then a courtyard.
Yep.
In the courtyard, there is a big mound, a big burial mound. And it's a mound built up of the stones of the courtyard and the dirt underneath, and surrounded by a ditch excavated to build the mound. There is the ruins of tenements or other buildings, which is the ruins that was just labeled ruins. And then there's this big overgrown tangle where, kind of like in the garden, where plants have just kind of overgrown a section of the ruins. So if you could imagine, maybe there's a water source or something there, but you've just got centuries of just wild plant growth that has more or less taken over the ruins in that area. And then there's a road that is presumably that main road that leads right out of the Griffin Gate area. So tell me what you guys want to do there. And again, I'll pull up the picture here.
That's fine. Yeah. Stop. Good.
If you want, I can put the...
No, that's fine.
So there's a road that's leading over towards the Blind King's Hill. There are ruins without plants and overgrown ruins and the burial mound.
And the burial mound is
In the courtyard.
It's in the courtyard.
Okay.
You know, if I was really competent, I would do something like this.
Well, Gina obviously would want us to check out the burial mound.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we'll probably want to check out the burial mound for Gina.
And a final thing I just want to point out here. This is the fun about doing this with Pevis, is there is so much information here that I'm actually slightly overwhelmed by. This is what most of the ruins look like here. And I will, next time I will have a handy dandy bunch of pictures. These are the classic type C ruins in Pevis category. What was that? It should be bringing back memories.
Yeah.
And type C ruins are by far the most common type of ruin. They're characterized by having broken walls, partial roofs and floors, and are generally uninhabitable by humans. With work, type C ruins may be upgraded to being habitable, and they also may very well have perfectly habitable cellars or basements. So you tell me, are you guys going to investigate the mound, or are you going to head down the road?
I don't think Gina would let us leave without investigating the mound. I just can't see it.
Yeah, me either.
Player's not here. So we'll probably watch, having Waha Tall, who's probably got a better scan than all of us combined. Keep lookout as well.
Okay. So all around, let me give you the description of the mound again. In the center of the market plaza is a burial mound built up of the stones of the mall and the dirt underneath. It's surrounded by a ditch excavated to build the mound. All around the mound are paving stones. On the south wall of the mound, a causeway has been built through the ditch and a hole dug into the mound. And that is about the information that I can give.
Any runes or other signs on it?
It's a, I mean, have you guys ever seen in real life big burial mounds?
Mm-hmm.
It's a kurgan.
How about the spirits in the area?
Oh, well, that's a good question. Worth asking. Well, you have a shaman with you, which makes it really easy to see that there is, in fact, a spirit that you can see here. How accurate that your spirit second sight lets you know if it's got a stronger POW or weaker POW than yours, correct?
If within, I think it's within like 5 increments. So my power is 12, so I'll know if they within 7 to 17 or something like that.
It's in that range.
Yeah, I think that's how it works. I don't really. That's at least the old rules. I don't think.
I think it's more or less the same.
Yeah.
It is. It is within 5 of your POW.
Yeah.
It is make a spirit lore to be able to really pare down what kind of a spirit you think it is.
Okay, that is possibly successful. That's a failure.
Okay. no additional information about it other than the fact that it is a big, it's a spirit comparable within your power range between 7 and 17.
Does it have any kind of particular shape?
You think it's the ghost of something.
I ask my dear friend Gina to also take a look. She can cast Second Sight. She's not here, of course, but...
And she can talk to ghosts or whatever and command them and do all that other
It's
magic.
what she's good at.
I would like then for this to be our stopping place, because we're getting into Gina's pretty much
territory.
This is pretty much her core idiom. Does this seem like a good stopping point for you guys?
Yeah.
Sure.
We need Gina.
Sounds good. Seems appropriate. That gives her an opportunity to figure out what's
gives her a chance to actually shine. You know, it's not that often that the character whose main power is to talk to ghosts. I think she would be really disappointed if, oh hell yeah, there was this ghost, and we went on and talked with it without you. I think she'd be way bummed.
Or even worse, and your character talked to it.
Oh yes, and your character talked to it and asked completely the wrong questions as far as you're concerned. So let's wrap this up here. When do we want to do the next game? I can be very flexible about that, with the exception of Friday, because I believe Linda is in there. But we can deal with that later.
I'm good. No, I'm good actually. This Friday, we're not going anywhere.
Then
I can get in this Friday.
Friday?
What time Friday?
Friday is good, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, awesome. Well, then, guys, we're going to have this on a cliffhanger. We're going to go forward and jump straight in on Friday. And thank you guys as always. Neil, give your closing.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for watching this Chaosium stream on RuneQuest. And if you like this or any of our other streams, please like us and subscribe. Thanks again.
Awesome.